What's going on, everyone? Today I'm joined by Devin Dubuc, who's been leading mortgage teams for more than 20 years. He's seen the shift to remote and hybrid work up close, and he's adapted right along with it. We get into how he runs his team now, how client interactions have changed, and what's actually working for him day to day on today's episode of Make Remote Work. Hope you enjoy. All right, Devin, thanks for joining us here today. I'm really excited about this one. You are a ball of energy from the moment I've met you, and I am excited to hear what you have to say about, in general, the way your industry is changing and moving at a high, fast pace and adapting to the climate that we're in currently, which is the world of AI, the world of hybrid and remote work, and generally, where all of that can take us and the possibilities. So welcome in.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. Great product, great service. Love what you guys are doing over at Rome.
Thanks. So let's dive into it, right? You've been in the mortgage industry for a long time. So talk to me about how, you are currently leading your team over at Premier Lending and just generally how you've seen a shift towards remote and hybrid work over the years. And, if you ever even saw it going this direction once upon a time.
Oh, it's crazy, man. Yeah, so 23 years in the industry. And even before I was here at Premier, I was leading my team over at Click to Close Mortgage as well. And, I remember the pandemic hit and everything shifted, right? Now, the good news was at the time, we were already using some video technology, not Rome, not as good as Rome, right? But we're using video technology and we had to shift everybody to work from home. It wasn't an option, right? But having that ability for video connection, it changed everything. And it gave us that ability to still have that personal touch without being in a real world scenario.
And, let's kind of dive in on that aspect of things, right? Just as far as like your industry goes. For me, I feel like the mortgage industry still does rely on face-to-face meetings and building trust with clients. How, do you replicate that or even, I would say improve relationship building in a virtual or remote sense? Like, do you still have those sort of interactions in a remote way, or are you still trying to meet with people face to face? I know there's something to be said about both of those methods, right? There's pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
But like, how has that shift sort of changed? Do you prefer one versus the other, or, what's the productivity look like there if you do, lean one way or the other?
And well, first off, it doesn't matter what I think. It's what the consumer wants, right?
True.
At the end of the day, people want to meet the way they want to meet, and you've got to be able to be there how they want you to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I did see a massive shift here because a lot of people started getting familiar with QR codes and, having to like scan to get to places. And so we've seen a lot of people adapt to, okay, this virtual thing works. I'm okay with it. And I think I can communicate that way. And so, I have a lot of people literally just to go to my link, they can drop straight. In fact, they can go from my website to meet with me face to face in a matter of seconds. And that's definitely a game changer, right? In addition, let's talk about going out into the fields. We were trying to court a real estate office recently, and we went out and, one of the things it said is, yeah, but how do we get a hold of you, right? Everybody says they're available. How available are they really, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, check this out. Go to the internet. Now click on that website, now click on that link, and they're face to face with one of the people from our office in seconds. And they're going, wait a minute, this is different. Yeah. Instead of hiding behind the tech like a lot of people do today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are actually embracing the tech in a way that we could bring people directly into the office and have a one-to-one conversation with them. So there is no hiding. And in our industry, that's important. Customers need to know that they can get a hold of you when they need something and not get put on hold or go through some sort of a corral of voicemails till they can eventually find the right person. And our agents want to know, can I get in front of you right now? And the answer is yes. In fact, more so than if they were walking into a physical office location. So I think it has changed. People are embracing it. You still have people that want to do face-to-face, but that's becoming less and less as tech advances.
It is about embracing new ways of doing things, in the age of AI and in the age of this focus on hybrid work. There's a lot of opportunity there, right? You just said like people can drop in and talk to you face to face almost instantaneously. Like that is something that you necessarily couldn't do in real life person,
That's
to person conversation, right? Like there's a lot of red tape that is involved there. You probably got to go to the office or commuting time, right? You have to, check in with security, wait in the lobby. Like by the end of that 30-minute meeting, you've probably spent 2-3 hours of your time, right? So, it is definitely changing. And like I said, there's pros and cons to both, but it is interesting just to hear specifically how you feel about that.
And I'm a small town Kansas kid, so I remember literally it was like, hey, you got to go handshake and face to face, right? But that was
Yeah.
still getting up, getting in the car, driving over to the office place, meeting the receptionist, and then eventually getting to sit down and talk with the individual. Now, I don't think that that's a bad thing because, again, you come from where I'm from.
Agreed.
A lot of people want that social interaction, but now you can have a virtual receptionist that pops up that is a real person and says,
Yeah.
"Hey, give me 1 second. Let me track Devin down for you," and then get you over to Devin. And instead of it taking the time to get up, get dressed, drive across town, walk through a door only to have to go somewhere next afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Now you could literally do it from your pocket, or you can do it from a laptop or computer at your own home at your own time. And I think that's, what really revolutionizes, where Rome is leading this industry.
Yeah, and you don't have to lose that personal touch, as you mentioned. For teams or organizations that haven't really dove into this way of work, right? Who haven't adapted to that, maybe a little reluctant to do so because they're kind of set in their ways or whatnot. What sort of advice would you give them?
Well,
What does that sound like to you?
that's tough for me, John, because I embrace tech so quickly, but my team does not, right? So at the end of the day, I get to speak on behalf of the people from my team because there's a lot of people when we try to adapt to it, they just wanted to repel, like, I don't want to do this. My people aren't going to want to do this. My agents are going to want to come here. Clients aren't going to want to do this. It's too difficult. And then they get in and we start working through Rome, and all of a sudden they go, man, this is pretty cool, right?
Mhm.
I think, the more people that embrace it and just let go, and I think that's just it. It's just, hey, take the demo, right? Like I always like
Yeah.
to say, take the Pepsi challenge, right? Who knows? You might like Pepsi better than Coke, right?
Yep.
It may happen. So
It's true.
team.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to take away. Is just like show your potential customers or even employees like what you're doing to take that leap forward and differentiate yourself. That one of
Right.
the things that you bring up Rome, but all of these other tools too that like we use on our day-to-day operations that are sort of on the bleeding edge of this new landscape of
Yeah.
technology. I think it says a lot about you too, right? For me personally, it's like I want to work with that person. Oh,
Amen. Yeah.
I want to be involved in that in some sort of capacity. And I think even just the simple tools that you're using on a day to day basis can say a lot about you and your process.
Agreed. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Well, I'll leave you with this. I think the easiest marketing tool is just show somebody waiting on hold and going through, a series of prompts to only get put back in the circle or hung up on, and
Yep.
then show them somebody coming into Rome getting greeted by a real person in seconds and meeting with the person they intend to talk to. And
Yeah.
that alone should show you why this tool is so amazing, right?
Yeah.
That's it. Customer service is improved, bottom line, and people know how they can get in touch with you and get your product quicker. What a novel concept.
Well, I appreciate the shout out there, and I appreciate you coming on to the podcast here. Hopefully, this is just one of many interactions we have. The nice things about these quick, short conversations is that we can do them at any time. So,
That's it.
thanks for joining me here today. Appreciate you stopping in. I will talk to you soon in Rome. Take care.
Take care, brother.